There were 3 people inside this Toyota Camry when it crashed. 2 of them did not survive, 19-year-old Davion Flanagan and 20-year-old Dominic Russo. But the third passenger, a 17-year-old girl who was driving, did survive. Her name is Mackenzie Shirilla. And after that crash, Mackenzie was on social media, on TikTok, and it made people absolutely furious.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
Shortly after being released from the hospital, the police were provided additional videos of the defendant from her wheelchair as she attended a concert down in the flats.
Prosecutors say what happened to that car was not an accident. It was murder. Mackenzie drove the Camry 100 miles per hour into a wall because she was fighting with Dominic, her boyfriend. And the sound of that fatal crash was captured by a surveillance camera. Mackenzie was prosecuted and convicted of 4 counts of murder. But now everyone's taking a second look at the case because of a new Netflix documentary entitled The Crash. So is there actual evidence of murder, or was this a prosecution fueled by social media outrage? And will Mackenzie Shirilla ever get out of prison? When documentaries like this come out, there's often what I call Netflix outrage, where the community just responds in one direction or another. In this case, involving this 17-year-old at the time who killed 2 of her friends in that car, it has not been good for her. It's been a visceral, negative response to Mackenzie and her family. But we're going to go beyond the emotion here and take a look at the evidence to answer the question, was justice served? I'm Vinnie Politan. Let's investigate. "100 miles an hour into a wall." Think about that. Think about the impact. And when I look at the aftermath of this crash, to me, it's hard to believe that anyone could survive. But Mackenzie Shirilla did survive. She was the one behind the wheel. And it's the early morning hours. She's coming back. She's got her boyfriend in there and another friend with them. And this crash, this violent crash, results in the loss of young life, which is difficult enough. But then when you start peeling back the layers and look at what happened here, that's where the outrage really begins in this case. And while it's hard to believe that anyone could survive that crash, to me, it's harder to believe what happened after the crash, with Mackenzie Shirilla going on social media, sort of oblivious to the gravity of all of this. 2 people's lives are gone young, violent, unnecessarily, as a result of your actions. Whether you believe you're a murderer or not, you're the one behind the wheel. You're the one with your foot on the gas. And in this case, that became so much of the headline, was who this young woman was as this sort of social media vain teenager, and then the continuation of that after this double fatal crash caused by her. So now you've got to try to figure out, well, how does this happen and what was going on here? Because we're talking about a murder case. And murder, you have to prove it beyond any and all reasonable doubt. So we get into this relationship that Mackenzie had with Dominic, her boyfriend. And it was a toxic relationship. They're young. He's 20, she's 17. There are fights. There's jealousy. There's all of that like a lot of teenagers experience. But some of the evidence in this case goes beyond that. Allegations that Mackenzie Shirilla, prior to this crash, had made threats in the past about crashing the car. So a pattern of behavior. Like this is something that's in her mind. And what's in your mind is crucial in a murder case. It's your state of mind is what's being prosecuted, your intent. And in this case, is this a tragic accident or is this murder? That's always been what it's about. So where is the evidence, that the jury wants, that can take you inside that car at the time of the crash? It's the black box. It's the data from the black box. And this is really this is what it comes down to. Sometimes you don't need a mountain of evidence. You just need that piece of evidence that speaks a mountain of evidence, if you know what I mean. There can be that one little piece. Like in the Idaho 4 case, it was the DNA on the snap of that knife sheath. That's all prosecutors needed. That's all they needed. That told the story about who was in there on that night, taking the lives of 4 innocent people. So now we've got to get inside the car, inside that Camry. And the story that is told by that black box is that the foot is depressed for 5 seconds all the way down. She is gunning it all the way for 5 seconds, never swerves away from the wall, never attempts to put on the brakes. That, to me, that paints a picture of someone who is angry, vindictive, and is acting purposefully and has one thing in mind. I'm taking this car and I am crashing it like I threatened to do in the past, and I'm going to do it now. And the proof is in that black box. And there's additional evidence here in this case about what happened, because this is part of it is caught on camera, surveillance cameras who are there. So I want to take a look at the first one, and there's 2 videos, and they together they tell a story of what is happening. Let's begin with the first one. This is a right-hand turn that is being made, 5:34 a.m. Okay, the car's approaching. The Toyota Camry, blinker is on, a normal turn. There is nothing going on there out of the ordinary. As a matter of fact, it might be out of the ordinary to put your blinker on when there's no one else on the road. Some people don't do that. That was done there. The next video tells a completely different story. This is just before the crash. You will see the car go by, and then you will hear the aftermath as this car is now pinned, that gas pedal all the way down, 100 miles an hour. Absolute heartbreak. Can't imagine what it's like in the trial for the family of those 2 young men. But it's the reality of what happened, captured on camera. So how do you go from that right-hand turn to that? It's what's going on inside that car. And whatever the conversation was, whatever the argument was, whatever perhaps jealousy, whatever it was, caused her to take her right foot, put that gas pedal all the way down for 5 seconds. Not for a second and then, oh, no, it's all the way down. It is gunned for 5 seconds. And that's how prosecutors are able to get into the intent of this 17-year-old young girl. Now, I've got more to show you. which is the arrest video of Mackenzie Shirilla. And as we watch this, again, put everything into context, what has happened here. You just saw the crash. She survived that. She was taken to the hospital. She survived. But the two passengers did not survive. They were dead at the scene. After that crash, it took 45 minutes for anyone to respond. It was a good Samaritan that saw the crash. There was no crash and then all of a sudden someone calls 911. It's the early morning hours. There's no one there. There's no one there. Let's take a look now. Mackenzie Shirilla getting arrested.
Where's she? Right back there, pal. Hi, Mackenzie. Step out for me. I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2, okay? Nobody's gonna ask you any questions. Nobody's gonna bother you. Can I have your key, please?
Could you please be careful taking this one off so it doesn't break the bracelet, please?
You got it. You got it. No.
Thank you.
You got it. Okay, just keep your hands right here. I'm not gonna tighten these, okay? I don't want to hurt you. We're gonna watch your head going in.
Hold it there for one moment. I want to give you a little more context. This is months later. So getting inside the mind of a 17-year-old, right? You're involved in a fatal crash. She turned 18 shortly thereafter. 2 people died. You're behind the wheel and nothing happens to you. You continue to live your life. You go on TikTok. Like, is there any sense of again, the gravity, the reality of what you've done and the taking of responsibility? I think this is the first moment of truth for her when you're thrown into handcuffs and you're told you're being charged with murder. It doesn't get more serious than that. But does she fully comprehend all that? Does she feel and hold any sense of responsibility for what happened here? I think, again, that gets back to that visceral response from the public and how they responded to the video, this video as well. Let's continue.
Help me get my foot out. I'm sorry. It's just like...
Came right by that black mat. Straightforward. Yep. Until that door. Step on that yellow line and just face the wall.
Okay, Mackenzie, I'm gonna take your handcuffs off. I need like all the jewelry and everything to come off, okay?
I can't wear any of it.
No, I need you to take it off while you're in jail right now.
I can't wear these.
Now, unfortunately, everything's gonna have to come off right now once we know when the detective comes back and we know for sure what's going on. Everything's gonna be bagged up here. It's not going anywhere.
Sorry, this is just like one of those which is really hard to get off.
That's fine. Take your time.
What are the green, are those extensions, clips? You're gonna need to
I
take
can't
those
take
out.
them out. They're like in my, like, they're like in.
Okay.
Unless you have pliers, we can get them out.
Wow. The response to that video wasn't great. Now, is it evidence of anything? Is it evidence of a mindset? Is it evidence of a lack of care for the victims in the case? To me, that's not clear one way or the other. she doesn't come off as necessarily very sympathetic, but a lot of this, again, is clouded by the fact of her other actions and this public response to this young woman who's become public enemy number one in all of this. So now prosecutors have to proceed with the case, and you've got to try the case. And what was really surprising to me in terms of how this proceeded was it became a bench trial in front of the judge. So one judge making the decision rather than a jury of your peers. Now, in my history of court TV, I've seen defendants make this choice, not hundreds of times, but maybe dozens of times through the years. And even my experience in practicing law. Usually, when a criminal defendant decides to have a case decided by just a judge rather than a jury, and you're waiving your right to a jury trial, your right to have 12 people convinced rather than just one, it's because you kind of know the way the judge sees the case. And you feel like, you know what, we've gotten some good rulings pre-trial. The judge has been very skeptical of prosecutors, believing they're either overcharging or, reaching in a particular case. And we've seen some not guilties. We've seen a bunch of not guilties in cases involving bench trials. But I'm wondering why in this case they chose a bench trial. Because do you want to be the public official, the judge, who sets this woman who the community does not like? Do you want to be the one to set her free? I don't think you do. I don't think you want to be that judge. Oh, who's that? Oh, that's the judge that sent the girl that drove into the wall that you set her free. It's like a judge in a DUI case. Do you want to be the judge that releases someone accused of drunk driving who could then turn around and do it again someday? Right? There's issues, obviously, with this young woman, emotional issues involving the rage and everything else that would cause her to do this, which is why I was so surprised that they didn't want a jury deciding this case. So I've got the verdict for you, again, delivered by the judge, right? The jury of one. This is from WKYC. Take a look.
The video clearly shows the purpose and intent of the defendant. She chose a course of death and destruction that day. Exhibit 802 crystallizes the deadly decision-making of the defendant. She morphs from a responsible driver to literal hell on wheels as she makes her way down the street. Mackenzie alone made the decision to drive the car. Count one. The court, having had count one tried to and pursuant to waiver, finds the defendant, Mackenzie Shirilla, guilty of murder, to wit Dominic Russo, in violation of Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.02a, is charged in count one. Count two. The court, having had count two tried to and pursuant to waiver, finds the defendant, Mackenzie Shirilla, guilty of murder, to wit Davion Flanagan, in violation of Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.02a, is charged in count two of the indictment.
Guilty. Convicted murderer. Serving 2 counts, 15 years to life. So here's the question, right? Where is the line? So this isn't a case of being not guilty. This is a case of, okay, is this a fatal crash involving recklessness, or is this murder involving purposeful conduct? And the judge couldn't be clearer. It was a result of the video. You saw 100 miles an hour, no application of the brake, no trying to steer away from the wall in front. For the judge, that showed the intent in this case. You pile that on top of the black box, and you end up with a murder conviction. So a week after her convictions, Mackenzie Shirilla was sentenced by the judge. Now, the official convictions were 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide, 1 count of drug possession, 1 count of possessing criminal tools. But at sentencing, things merge, right? Because there's one real action here, and things merge for the purposes of sentencing. And in the case, obviously, you have the two victims, Dominic and Davion. So let's take you inside the courtroom and let's watch Mackenzie Shirilla. She looks shocked that she was convicted. So what can she say at sentencing to try to mitigate the damage, to try to get the judge to have some level of leniency? Let's take a look.
Is there anyone else?
I would like Mackenzie to address the court.
Mackenzie, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. It's up to you. Okay? You can sit if it's more comfortable, whatever's better for you.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends, and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away, and I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I get it. She's young. If I'm representing her, I'm going to have her come up with a more thoughtful statement. It was too short. I know she's young. I get it. But this is the rest of her life. The rest of her life this is it. This is the moment. And to stand up and read a few lines like that does not hit the mark. And what you have to do at sentencing is you've got to take responsibility for your actions. You don't have, and in this case, you don't have to admit that you're a murderer, but you can, in a much more deeper way, take responsibility for what you did. And that didn't happen there. And that's really all you can do at that moment. You can apologize, but you've got to take responsibility. That's where you can perhaps reach a judge. And again, what you just did there is not going to help in the public reaction to what she did. All right, now it's time for her formal sentencing by the same judge who found her guilty at the bench trial. Let's take a look.
Today is the sentencing of the defendant for the purposeful and intentional murders of Davion Flanagan and Dominic Russo. And in a way, it's the second time their families are gathered again to grieve. It's also a day when Mackenzie's family will grieve for the future of their daughter. All three of these families and the friends of these families are suffering, and all of their lives have been irrevocably changed because of the actions of the defendant. The unintended and collateral consequences of a selfish, intentional, and cruel decision by Mackenzie will ripple forever in time. It's literally changed history because it's ended two lives. Two young men are dead. Their deaths were horrible, terrifying, and tragic. I will say again, if any reasonable person reviews Exhibit 802, there can be no doubt in your mind what happened this night. There can be no doubt of the absolute terror of the two people in that car. The defendant controlled all the events. She chose the day. Specifically, she chose a day just before her 18th birthday. She chose to drive the car, the time to drive the car. She chose an obscure, previously scouted route through an industrial parkway. She chose the target to hit and the victims. She chose the means and the method to follow through. And she planned and purposefully executed the events of July 31st, 2022. The review of the evidence supports the factual findings, the forensic testimony, the testimony of the first responders, the testimony of the emergency room doctors who treated the defendant, the testimony of the coroner's medical examiner, the testimony of those who knew the victims and the defendant, and the testimony of the BMV official who provided evidence that not only did the defendant deny any medical condition when applying for her license, which her mother co-signed and attested to, but also that just after the accident, Mackenzie renewed her driver's license and again denied any medical condition.
Hold it right there for a second.
In fact, the defendant...
And the reason that's significant is part of her defense was she had a medical condition that she would black out, not know what's going on, and she would still be able to fully depress the gas in the car. And obviously the judge didn't buy it, because a medical condition that just sort of pops up at trial generally doesn't have the credibility of a medical condition where there's a documented history of it. And that didn't exist here. And I think the judge is taking some time here to point that out, to make the record 100% clear that there was no evidence of this medical condition.
Defendant was so concerned about driving that, as the state mentioned, during the investigation, she asked if they could just suspend her license for 10 years. It is hard to fathom how a person could be concerned about their driving privileges, having just been responsible for the deaths of 2 people. There was no medical condition that caused this as an accident. There was no mechanical failure of the car. The record is clear on the facts and the evidence. Her mother's uncorroborated statements without any medical testimony or records is not persuasive. It is also important to remember that even if Mackenzie intended to also die in this crash, that is irrelevant. A failed suicide attempt is not a defense to murder. And even in a murder-suicide attempt, when the perpetrator executing the plan survives, the other death or deaths are still murder. There's only one person who's responsible for the pain of everyone in this room, and that person is you, Mackenzie. Nobody else is responsible. This isn't the fault of Dominic's family, or Davion's family, or your family. And I know that each of you have asked your questions to yourselves, what if? What if I had done this or that? The truth of it is, none of us can control the intentions of another. And when there is a purposeful intent to harm or kill someone, it is the perpetrator alone who bears the responsibility for the choice and the consequences and the harm that follows. The difficulty for sentencing today, honestly, is whether or not I believe you should get consecutive sentences. I'm troubled that should I give you a concurrent sentence, that people will believe that somehow I'm being disrespectful to one of the victims. And on the other hand, I have to weigh the punishment. There's a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. That will be up to the parole board, and that will be up to you to a great extent. I understand that the pain in this room wants me to impose the harshest sentence, but I don't believe that would be the appropriate sentence, because I do believe that Mackenzie will not be out in 15 years. So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other with credit for time served. I'll waive fines, fees, and costs, and your appellate counsel will be assigned. Are there any questions from the state?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
You're innocent.
15 to life. First opportunity for parole at age 33. The judge doesn't believe that she's going to get out then. All I will say is you never know. You never know. Okay, I want to take a minute here to take a look at the TikTok video that has caused a lot of the uproar and response, negative response to Mackenzie Shirilla. Now, I want to put the context here. This is Halloween, so this is 3 months after the crash. I'm not going to play the audio, but I'm going to show you the video. Let's take a look at this. And you see her there with a friend, and they're trying on different outfits, smiling, glamming for the cam a little bit, and then boom, Halloween costumes, smiling, like every other teenager, not every other, but almost every other teenager in America these days, right? There's nothing that's not ordinary about that, except the fact that 3 months before that, she killed 2 of her friends and somehow miraculously survived that crash going 100 miles an hour into a wall. So this has always been an issue in the case. And her sentencing, Natalie Shirilla, Mackenzie's mom, spoke. And one of the things she addressed was Halloween and everything that was going on here. So let's take a listen to Mackenzie's mom. Again, speaking up for her daughter. Every parent's going to do it, but the question is there credibility to what she is saying?
Can you start with your name? My name is Natalie Shirilla. I just want to say, am I allowed to address them at all?
Sure.
I just want to say to the families that I'm broken, sad, and lost, and my heart hurts for everyone, okay? Davion was her new friend, and Dom was the love of her life, and he was part of our family, okay? I'm just so sorry that this happened, and we're heartbroken, okay? And then, Your Honor, this was a terrible, tragic nightmare accident to have happened that she has no memory of, and she will never emotionally or physically recover from it. She almost died too, and we're asking that you please not run the sentences consecutive. He was family, and we all loved each other. That morning of the accident, she called. I got a phone call that there was a car accident. Okay, so we went to the hospital, and I didn't even know who was in the car. The names had not been confirmed yet, and I'm going to cry because I missed Dom so much. We loved him so much. So I called Dom, like over and over again, praying that he was going to answer the phone, and he didn't answer the phone. So then I tried to call his mom, and she didn't answer the phone either. And I still didn't know who was in the car. I didn't even know if she was alive. I didn't know what was happening. So then we were in the waiting room, and then his mom she did call me, so I answered the phone, and I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even know who was in the car. Like, what's happening? Was that Dom? And she said, what do you mean? My son is dead. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And then she said something like, and now I have to wait until your kid's out of the hospital. And then I didn't hear the rest. I was like, we loved him so much, and I hung up the phone. I did not talk about social media. I didn't even know what was going on yet, okay? So then, that was it. So in the hospital, that Vitality post, I commented on that because somebody had called her a murderer, okay? And she's not a murderer, so she didn't even have her phone at that point because the police had still had it, okay? So I jumped on, and I was like, you know, she's not a murderer. She's more sad than most of these people commenting. She's been trying to get in touch with you. I mean, at that point, it was just an accident. So I commented on her behalf, not because of the modeling opportunity. Who cares about that? I don't want them to refer to her as a murderer, okay? And I don't even know how that comment had got on the phone because the police still had her device, and she could not access her phone or social media. That's why I did it. And I had called them asking if they could shut down social media because people were calling her a murderer and making death threats and organizing groups to, take her out when she got out of the hospital and stuff. So I didn't even want her phone. I don't care about her phone. I don't care about social media. I just wanted them to stop calling her a murderer so that when she did come to, and she did come out of surgery, multiple surgeries, that she wouldn't see all these people calling her a murderer because she would never, ever, ever murder the love of her life. Okay?
Hold it for
Halloween,
a second.
for 3 months after the accident.
We're going to get into the Halloween and the TikTok, but she's telling the judge who has ruled that her daughter's a murderer that she's not a murderer. That's not going to help. It's not going to help. Let's get now to Halloween.
After the accident, she would only wear his clothes. She would only eat the snacks he ate. She would only listen to the music he wrote, okay? She was laying in bed for 3 months crying. There was a shrine of him next to her with photos and things that he liked and this flower that lights up that he got her because he wanted it to be fresh and alive forever. It's like a little Beauty and the Beast flower. Okay, she's got this shrine of him next to her. So she was crying for 3 months. So her friends asked if she wanted to go out trick-or-treating or Halloween, and it was at OU. And she didn't even want to go. She said, I don't know, should I go? She couldn't even walk yet, barely. So
So I told her, I said, baby, please go. It's Halloween. You've been laying for 3 months crying, only listening to his music. Please go have just a moment of fun. A moment of fun. So we told her to go. My husband drove her. I brought her back home. She just needed a second of fun from losing her whole world. Her whole world. So that was us. We told her to go. And that concert she went to with Dom's cousin, Abby, they picked her up. They brought her there. That was Dom, Mackenzie and Dom and Abby all decided to go to this concert together while they were in the hospital. That was for Dom. Everything she did after the accident was either in honor of him, to be close to him, or just to be by him any way that she can. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes, okay? And they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident. What was the other thing?
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about the two dead people.
Dominic, okay, I'm asking you for leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. And I'm so sorry.
What does that mean? His life is worthless?
No. God, no, not at all. They all loved each other. They all spent every day together. You know what I mean? I don't know
and
too much for him.
Isn't that part of the problem, Mrs. Shirilla?
Sorry?
Isn't that part of the problem, that they all trusted each other? Isn't that part of...
It's not a problem at all. It was wonderful.
It's a problem how they all ended up in the car together and two of them ended up dead.
I understand. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never.
Well, we're going to have to disagree on that.
I understand.
Right. And I respect your position, but you disagree with me.
I understand. But anyway, that's it. I just wanted to address those. We told her to go to those things, and then she did go with Dom's family. So look at that. Don't look at it with the look on that with different eyes if you can, please.
Those things are not relevant.
Not at all. Not at all.
No,
not at all. But she's a good. If you would have a moment, all you would need is 5 minutes of a conversation to have with her to learn who she is. Just that you would just need 5 minutes to learn who she is and what she's capable of not doing and doing, and you would see for yourself. That's all. I'm so sorry, guys.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I get it. Parents falling on the sword for their child. Most parents would do that. I understand that. Interesting back and forth with the judge. But she said, if you just had 5 minutes she had the opportunity. She had the opportunity to address the court. Those are the 5 minutes where she's supposed to get to know your daughter. And your daughter sort of punted on the whole thing. Sorry. Victim impact statements at sentencing's so important. To me, it's the reality check for our system of justice so that especially the judges understand what has happened here. And many do. And this judge was amazing, by the way. This judge was amazing. You're going to hear from Jamie and Davion Flanagan, Davion's mother and sister. What you have to understand about this family is that Davion and his sisters were adopted. And then after you hear from the Flanagans, you'll hear from Dominic's mom, who also spoke at sentencing. And this is, again, crucial part of our system. So listen, we understand this happened. These families will never be the same. And the loss is beyond anything that can be expressed by a sentence, by a prison sentence or a verdict. Let's watch.
My son Davion is and always will be so much more than cargo. He was precious. He was an amazing soul with a heart of gold. I am devastated by the loss of Davion. The world lost a truly special man. My girls lost their best friend, their protector, the one and only trusted family that has been by their side from day one. This alone, or he alone, understands the pain and loss that they have gone through and was always there for them. This fact alone breaks my heart for my girls, for my family. So many dreams shattered, a future stolen. We will never get to see the amazing man that he was surely to become. I pray daily for strength and perseverance for myself and for my family. I also pray that Mackenzie will find true remorse in her heart and true repentance.
Davion was not just a big brother to me, but a role model in many ways. He was the person I trusted the most because he made me feel safe. He taught me the importance of cherishing each moment and enjoying life. The memories we have are strong, but losing him has shown me the value of life. I don't want this pain for anyone else. I don't want people to have to go through this. As an 18-year-old, I hate the fact that he has gone because someone decided to take his life. Now that Davion is gone, I feel stuck. I feel as if I can't move forward. I feel lost. He was the one who picked me up when I fell. He was my best friend and the only person that has stayed with me since I was born. I would like you to give Mackenzie the longest possible sentence. I've known her for about 3 years, and as she's always taken the easy way out. You shouldn't be able to take the easy way out when it comes to murder. It's completely unfair that no matter what sentence you give her, she will be eligible for parole, while my brother will be gone forever.
But this was not a car accident. The evidence and science proved that Mackenzie Shirilla murdered my son, Dominic, as well as Davion. There's no fix put in this case, as the Shirillas would like to proclaim. I want to thank Strongsville Police Department and the state of Ohio for seeking the truth behind this crash. Thanks to them, we all know what happened in that car that day. What we don't know is why. I wish I could change this every day. I lost 3 children in that crash. Not a minute goes by each day that I don't think about my son, as well as Davion. My heart is forever broken. The cries heard from the Shirilla family and friends after the verdict are nothing more than a lack of remorse. Mackenzie Shirilla had a choice. Dom and Davion did not. We are all left here to mourn. But what Dominic and Davion lost can never be remedied in any way or by any particular sentence. July 31st, 2022, I called Mackenzie's mother, hysterical with the loss of my son and Davion. I knew Mackenzie was in the hospital, and the first statement said to me was, "Oh, please don't listen to what everyone's saying on Facebook." Yeah, my son is dead, his friend is dead, and I'm checking on yours. Yet social media is what's important. Social media has made a game out of the life of Mackenzie and is making a game out of this heart-wrenching tragedy. No one can imagine the pain of losing a child unless they have lost one themselves. The pain is forevermore. Time does not heal this wound. Mackenzie, going to prison because you did this. Be thankful that you're still alive and have a future, whatever that may be. Dom and Davion were robbed of their futures, their hopes, and their dreams. Mackenzie showed no mercy on Dominic, nor did she on Davion. Only God at this time can have mercy on her soul. Thank you.
The reality. That's the reality. And those families in that moment now, they need to live the rest of their lives, and that never goes away. That never goes away. They can hope for justice, but they can never, ever get any sense of closure. In the beginning of this episode, I talked about, was justice served here? Was this just a prosecution fueled by the outrage of social media, or was there actual evidence? Yes, there was actual evidence. So the verdict justified. But the question of whether or not justice was served, that's not going to be answered for quite some time. That's because she's going to be eligible for parole. And does she get out after serving just 15 years for taking 2 lives? I think that's the point where maybe we can begin to answer the question about whether or not justice was served in this case. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. And in the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.